for today. Okay, so on a Thursday, we ended with this question, and then I had to rush because our time was done and you needed to do your quiz. And so I want us to just kind of go through this question nice and slowly so that everyone understands it before we move on. Let's go. Tiama, don't panic. Exams in grade 10, they specifically make them tough so that you, now I'm really in the dark. So that you're prepared. They think it helps you prepare for grade 11. And grade 11 is like matric part 1. So it's all a mind game.
You see, now we can just see teacher Jenny's face, which is good, guys.
I'm like, there's like no light around me. It is solid darkness. I don't even know how I'm going to be able to see my calculator. It's going to be a journey. But it's fine. I'm in it. Okay, so this question is asking us to sketch this graph. We need to go from negative 180 to positive 180. When we're dealing with a tan graph, how many degrees am I wanting to step in? How many degrees do I want to step in? So think about it. Yes, Portia, beautiful. 45. Okay, so 45, 90, 135, 180. I'm going to do the same here. Negative 45, negative 90, negative 135, negative 180. So you guys should have this graph that you drew in our lesson on Thursday. So you can have a look at it and see if you're on the right track. Next thing is I'm going to draw in my asymptotes. Where is the one asymptote that we always need to remember? So we need to remember the first one, and then we know it's just every 180 degrees after that. So where is my one asymptote that's really important for me to remember? 270 is one and 90. Great. Okay. So if we can remember that x is equal to 90 is one of our asymptotes, then every 180 degrees after that, we're going to have another asymptote. So I'm going to have another asymptote here, because that distance is 180 degrees. And those are going to be my only two asymptotes, because they told us that the domain is going to be between 180 and 180, negative 180 and 180. All right. Next thing we're wanting to do is we need to try and figure out what these different values are going to be. All right. And so what we should have found is this is now going to be, let me put some values in over here. We're going to have 1, 2. Negative 1, negative 2. Okay, so what we should have found is that at 0 degrees, our coordinate was at 1. I'm hoping that you also found that. Okay. And at 45 degrees, our coordinate was actually at 0. And at negative 45 degrees, our coordinate was at 2. Hopefully this is sounding like something like your graphs were looking like. And what our tan graph would look like is that. Is this looking like what you drew? Does it look familiar? Did you put in negative tan or did you put in positive tan? Yeah, yeah. That was why this one was a little bit of a nasty question, because we had only been doing positive tan and we hadn't dealt with a negative tan. And so it does look a little bit different to the ones that we would be drawing, but I'll show you what that looks like. But I was purposely trying to trap you. So if yours is the opposite direction, you fell for my trap, which makes me happy. So don't worry. Okay. Then this, ooh, now I'm in highlighter mode. This one is going to also look something like, oh goodness, that shouldn't be down there. That should be, yeah. So that's going to look something like that. And then I have to stop. And this one is going to be there and then there. And so that's going to go like that. So that is what this graph would look like, because I'm going between 180, negative 180 and positive 180. Okay, there's a couple of things we're going to chat about this graph, but let me first answer this question. Lila, how can I help?
To him like you are the parent.
Lila?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask if you could please start over. I was really struggling to log into Zoom.
Okay, I won't be able to start over because our time will run out, but you can always rewatch this video. So all of the videos are online 24 hours after we've taught them. So it will be online and you can watch the beginning of this lesson again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And I'm here,
No problem.
I'm here. She will repeat most of the questions, so don't worry. If you don't understand,
Exactly.
I'll be here to help.
All of the TAN stuff is going to come back, and we're going to be dealing with TAN again on Thursday, so don't panic. Okay, so the thing that was in here that was trying to trick you was that this was a negative tan graph, and we actually hadn't dealt with a negative tan graph at this point. We had only dealt with positive tan. So from before you did this one, when you were drawing a tan graph, when you normally, a normal tan graph, so if I have no shift up or down and it's a positive tan graph, I'm going to have my asymptote happening at 90. I'm going to have my asymptote happening at negative 90. And my normal tan graph, that's going to be 1. And negative 1 is going to look something like that. Okay, that's a normal tan graph. So that would just be y is equal to tan x. So I haven't shifted up or down. And my amplitude is not changing. Well, not amplitude, but the A value. Okay. But what happens is when we have negative tan, basically it's just the reflection of that. So if I had y is equal to negative tan x, it's going to look like that. Okay. Now, this is quite an important thing to think of. So in our lesson today, we're going to be looking at finding the equation of different graphs. So there's a few things that are really important to take note. First thing is in our normal y is equal to tan x, or even y is equal to negative tan x, that would normally be on 0. Okay, so as soon as it's at a different point, like here it's on 1, we know that's because our graph has been shifted up by 1. So whatever that value is, when it's at 0 degrees, that's going to tell us what our shift is, going up or shift to going down. Okay, and our shift is our Q value. So remember in your equation, we have y is equal to A tan x plus Q. That Q over there, that's your shift. Okay, second thing is, remember when we did sine and cos, we looked at, in cos, we looked if it was starting at its max or its min. And in sine, we looked at if our graph is going up or if our graph is going down. We're going to do a similar thing in tan. From this point at 0 degrees, is my graph going down? If it's going down, then this is going to be negative. If it's going up, then it's going to be positive. Okay, so these are just some things to start looking for when we start dealing with finding the equation of the graph. All right. Hopefully I haven't overwhelmed you too much. This was just looking at the drawing that you did at the end of our lesson on Thursday. So most of you had this. If you did this and you are feeling confused about what you are seeing in front of you and what you are seeing on the screen, please let us know and we will try and help as much as possible. Organisa, how can I help?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, is it okay if I end like downwards to the negative side?
Sorry, I didn't catch the end of that question.
I was asking if the second 10 graph, is it okay?
Oh, if you
Okay,
carried
if I
on going
just
like
end
this.
on the 45, on the dot. Yeah, okay.
So we actually have to be super careful. That's a really good question. Because they told us what the domain is over here, they told us that it had to be between negative 180 and 180. We're actually not allowed to go further than that. So if you wanted to, you could do like a little baby arrow, but you can't actually do something further than that. So because they told us what the domain is, we need to be very strict and keep it to exactly what they asked for. And that's a silly place for us to lose a mark when it comes to tests, because our brain wants to complete the tan graph. We want to see the whole curve. It fits better in our brains. But if they've given you a specific domain, we have to be very careful that we stick to it. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at finding the equation of these dudes. So, couple of things to start with. First of all, nice, easy thing to start with is we can see something over there. What I've just done, that little pink dot over there. What is that pink dot telling us? What is that pink dot telling us that I've just drawn? Good, it's -1. It's the shift. Yes, it is the shift. Okay, and if it is the shift, it is our Q value. So actually right now we already know we've got y is equal to a tan x minus 1. And we know that this is the -1 because of that point over there. Okay. Second thing we're going to look at is my graph from this point, is it going up or is it going down? It's going up. Good. Okay. So because it's going up, that's telling me that this A value is going to be positive. Okay. Cool. Next thing. What do you think we can do for our last little step? So now we're trying to find A. I want you to try and think about what we did in our sine and cos graphs. How can I find A when it's my only missing variable? What could I do? I'm open to all suggestions. Think about whenever we have a missing variable in. Yeah, okay, so in sine and cos, we could take our max minus our min and divide by 2, right? But the problem in a tan graph is that that's max is infinity and that min is negative infinity. So we're not going to be able to use that formula anymore. We did something else though. We did one other sneaky way. Whenever you're looking for one variable in any type of function, not simplify, not range, try to think what we could be. I'll try and help you out a little bit. I'm going to do a little purple dot there. See if that purple dot helps. What could I do with that purple dot? this dot, this purple dot. What could I do with that purple dot?
Think my people think. Let's go, guys. Let's go. It's something that is so it's yummy, actually, if you get this one right.
I think you're focusing on the words yummy because you're sitting at delicious spur.
Yeah.
So I've helped you a little bit. I've put some coordinates in there. What can I do with those coordinates? Yes, substitute. I'm going to substitute. Okay, good. When I'm needing to, have I spelled that right? Substitute, yes, okay. When I'm needing to find one variable in any function, I can always substitute in a set of coordinates and it will help me find the other number. Okay, so I'm going to substitute in 45 and 1. So I'm going to have y is now going to be 1 is equal to a. We don't know a. Tan x is going to be 45 minus 1. Okay, before I carry on, is there anyone who is unhappy with that purple step that I've just highlighted? Okay. Then we're going, okay, Mukukubale, where are you unhappy with it? That's okay, guys. I'm glad that you're telling me. I'll talk about it one more time. Okay, all we need to do when we have one variable that we don't know, so in this case, the only variable we don't know is a. When we have one variable that we don't know, we can always substitute in a set of coordinates. Okay, so we can find any coordinates on our graph. So I could also have substituted in negative 135 and 1. Or I could have substituted in negative 225 and negative 3. All of these would have worked. I could say it in any set of coordinates would have been fine. Okay. And this is my x value, and that's my y value. So instead of writing y, I'm going to write 1. And then instead of writing x, I'm going to write 45. So I'm putting in my 1y value and my 1x value. Yeah. So Zandasile, any set of coordinates that you put in, you will get the exact same answer. That's the gloriousness of substitution. Okay. Then we're going to just do this sort of step by step. So I'm going to put in tan 45 into my calculator, and I'll get the value of 1. So I'm going to get 1 is equal to a times 1 minus 1. I'm going to move that 1 over. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And a times 1 is just equal to a. And that just gives me my answer for a. Then we just do a double check. We said, okay, we knew our a needed to be positive. Our a is positive. Great. So that means that our equation is going to be y is equal to 2 tan x minus 1. And that's my full answer. So I have found A, I have found Q, and we're all happy. Monica, how can I help?
Ma'am, to get a multiplied by 1, do you put tan 45 in the calculator?
Exactly. So I'm just going to take this tan 45 and I'm going to put it straight into my calculator, and it will give me the value of 1.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Can you try one example for yourselves? You're going to try a gazillion examples for yourselves. But you know what might be a good thing for you to try? Is try and substitute in a different value and see what you get. So like try substitute in one of these other ones, or substitute in 225 and 1. You'll see that you get the same answer. So give it a try, put it into your calculators, use a different set of coordinates. So like let's use this one, for example. I'll use this one over here. So this is negative 45 and negative 3. So then my y value would be negative 3. I'm looking for a. My x value is going to be negative 45, and I'm shifting down by 1. Yes, don't worry, you will try similar ones like this. Don't panic. So try and see if you'll end up getting to similar places. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to say tan of negative 45 is going to give me negative 1. Okay, I'm going to move my 1 over. So negative 3 plus 1 is going to give me negative 2. And that's equal to negative a. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. And I'm going to see that a is 2. So you can substitute any set of coordinates that you like. You will get the correct answer. Good, Portia, that's great. Okay, let's try one all by yourselves. Oh, I already put brain break because I was worried this was going to take too long. I suppose it's not too early for brain break. It's okay. For those of you who are new, brain break is just something fun and silly to give your brain a little bit of a break between the lesson.
Yeah, my grade 10s was so clever enough that we arrived at the brain break, guys.
Yeah, you're just too clever. We're 5 minutes early.
You know?
In the Bentley, can I help?
Ma'am, for the negative 45 and negative 3, where did we get that?
Oh, I just took this set of coordinates over here.
So how do we get negative 3, ma'am?
That is what its value is. So at negative 45, it is negative 3.
Okay, ma'am.
But you could take any. So like here, 225 and 1, or like negative 225 and negative 3. Anyone which is like a nice coordinate.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. I wasn't thinking that. That's the point of intersection. Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Yeah, Sia, how can I help? You just need to unmute on your side, Sia. Hello? I'm going to move down. Okay, brain break. Let's see how quickly you can get the answer. Do not fall for the traps. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, I am looking for the answer for my question mark. What is my question mark? When you have an answer, chuck it in the chat for me and I will let you know if you are right or wrong.
Let's do this, guys.
Yeah, Mokukabale, I'll pop back up straight at the end of this. 22, no.
Look at it carefully, carefully.
Don't give
There's
them
some
too many
tricks.
hints, Yolanda. It's not 38, it's not 31, it's not 21, it's not 21, not 0, not 81, not 700. Ah!
Well done. Well done.
Nice. Okay, those of you who got 20, do any of you feel confident to talk us through how? Let us know. Oh,
Did you guys guess the 20?
I feel like someone got it and then everyone was like, yes, let's just jump on this bandwagon.
Oh no.
Okay, our answer is definitely 20, guys. For those of you who are getting 22, you have fallen for my trap, which is great. So let's quickly go through this. The first one, there are 3 sheep and that's equal to 45. So our sheep are each 15. Hopefully we got to this point where we're able to see that our sheep are 15. Let me know. Yes? No? Good. Okay. So that sheep there is 15. Okay, so if our sheep is 15 and these little churches over here, 2 of them, and then I have to get 21, that means that these 2 churches together need to equal 6. So each one is 3. Okay. My church plus my candles has to equal 7, which means that those candles must be 4. And so then this must be 4 and this must be 3, but it's not, because there are 3 candles here, not 4, which means this is going to be 3. And there are 3 like little steeply things over there, but there are only 2 steeply things over there. So this is going to be 2, which gives us 20. So if you got 22 or you got 21, then you just fell for one of the traps, which is very normal. So don't panic. But yes, our answer was 20. Who ended up getting it? Who actually saw the whole way? Or did we just have a whole bunch of guesses?
Yeah, I'm also trying to find out who actually got it right without guessing that is 20.
Yeah, who got it without getting, like, I feel like people totally guessed their way through this. It wasn't that tricky. I've given you worse ones before. Okay, well, I'm glad you got it while explaining. All right, for those of you who needed a screenshot, you can take one of this picture. And then we'll move on to one that you can do by yourselves. Okay, cool. Let's go. I'll try and zoom in so that you can see the coordinates better. I'm going to warn you that this one's a little bit nasty.
Let's do this, guys. Let's do it. I believe in all of you. Let's do this thing.
Maybe this one's too nasty for your first one alone. I'm like staring at it and panicking for you. Okay, let's do this one as your first one to do by yourselves.
Sister Jenny loves us, guys. She adores us.
I don't want you to like hate tan graphs all of a sudden. So let's just start with something which you might find a bit more pleasant. Oh no, don't worry. I will explain we'll get to the last one. But the first question that we did, Mokobale, if that's what you're asking, I won't be able to re-explain the whole thing because we spent about 20 minutes on it, but you're welcome to rewatch the video and sort of watch it a bit slower, pause when you need to, and hopefully things will start falling into place. But sometimes you just need to hear things a second time. And obviously, when we go through this one, I'll explain that whole process again as well. So hopefully that will help. So, sweetheart, for the direct message that just came in, this is all the same graph. It's one graph. Monica, great. That's awesome. I'm just going to give everyone a little bit of extra time, just for those who are still working, and then we'll go through this dude. Guys, it's so dark. What am I going to do when this course finished? I'm just going to be sitting in the dark. I'm going to have to go to sleep. Is there like no moon tonight or something? I feel like it's irrationally dark. Yeah, Portia, I think I will just sleep. Can you imagine if someone watched this video who's like not from South Africa and they just don't understand load shedding? And we all just casually like, oh, well, I have no electricity. And they're watching these videos and then it's just pitch black. And they're like, okay. And we're just casually carrying on with life as if nothing's wrong. And they're just like, okay. That's a bit weird. I feel like I've become desensitized to load shedding. So like if it comes on a little bit early, I get really excited. If I have like an extra 15 minutes of electricity, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 15 extra minutes. Instead of thinking, no, I had no electricity for 2 hours. No, don't try to scare me. I don't like the dark as it is. Okay, let's try and talk through this graph. Okay. First thing that we're wanting to do is we're wanting to establish if there's been a shift, okay? And that's that point over there. So that 1 is telling us that there is a shift. It has shifted 1 up. That means that our Q value is going to be 1. So right now we have y is equal to a tan x plus 1. If you got this plus 1, I want you to give yourselves a big round of applause or a pat on the back, give yourselves a big fat tick. Give yourselves a mark for getting that plus 1. Okay. Now, the second thing I'm going to ask you is, what is my graph doing? Is my graph going down or is my graph going up? So is that a value going to be positive or is that a value going to be negative? It's going up. Remember, we read a graph from left to right. We read our graph from left to right. Is my graph going up or is my graph going down? It's going down. Okay. It's going down, which means that that a value is going to be negative. Now, that's not super important. It's not as important as it was for our sine and cos graph when it's very, very important. But it does just help us check that we've done everything correct. Okay. Then we want to find a set of coordinates which are going to be useful for us. So, for example, this is quite a nice one, -45 and 3. But you could have used various ones. You could have used 45 and -1. You could have used 180 and 1. You could have used 135 and 3. Any of these are fine. Okay, so any really nice coordinates That's what you're going to want to use. All right. And we are going to substitute that in. So I'm going to sub in negative 45 and 3. But remember, you can use any coordinate that's nice. So I'm going to have y is now 3. X is now negative 45 plus 1. I'm going to move my 1 over. So 3 minus 1 is 2. And that's going to be equal to a times negative 1. And so a is going to equal negative 2, which means I'm checking. I said it was going to be a negative. I'm getting a negative, so I know that I've done that correctly. My full graph is going to be y is equal to negative 2 tan x plus 1. I would love to know who landed up getting 100% for that. Who got the negative 2 and the plus 1? Yes! Nice!
Well done, everybody. Well done. Oh.
Did you get kicked out of school?
You know that they give free Wi-Fi?
And they were like, no more.
And like, no more go.
I've just been sent a message from Vodacom saying that my data is imminently running out. So I'm now trying to purchase data at the same time. We're falling apart over here.
We got this. We got this.
We will be fine. You don't know we went wrong. You used 180 and 1. You used 180 and 1. Okay. So if you used 180 and 1 for the tan 180, did you get the value of 0? So tan 180 would give, yeah, okay. So now the problem with that is that a times 0 is 0. So the a actually ends up falling away. And so if we do it that way, it's not going to give us the answer that we're wanting. Sorry if I'm seeming distracted, guys. I'm just trying to get data at the same time. I feel like I'm micromanaging. Okay, don't worry, guys. I understand if your Wi-Fi is acting up or if you're having load shedding issues. We are all in the same boat right now. Okay, let's give another one a try and see if we are getting better at this slowly. Let's give, do I like this one? Yeah, this is a nice one. Okay.
Let's do this, guys. Let's do it. Don't worry. Actually, like, you guys are really doing well.
Yeah.
To be honest, this is like your first time learning this thing, so.
Yeah, and tan graphs, like, they look horrific. They're so stressful.
I agree. All these lines with lots of friend zoning. I mean, it's a lot going on.
So much friend zoning.
For screenshots. Okay, Ma'am Jen will go back so that you can take screenshots.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to go up quickly and then I'll just come back down.
Moment to shine. Screenshots, Susanna. Take a screenshot.
Okay, can I go back down? Trying to zoom in so you can see the graph and all of its coordinates. Don't worry, it's a very normal typo. No, it's okay. I understand. You can enjoy your electricity while you have it. I get it. My sister's house doesn't get load shedding. and it makes me so angry.
I know, I'm so jealous. I can never understand that area. Someone important stays right there. I
It
promise
makes
you.
me so cross, like to my core. It makes me so cross. Anyway. Beverly. Makes
You're
me
rubbing
so
it in our
cross.
faces, Beverly. Monica, I'm sure you're well done. I mean, you're welcome. Well done. As I'm thinking of a meat bone, a well done. That's what my next door is ordering. So, but anyway, you are welcome to raise your hand and then you can talk us through the answers. I'm sure Teacher Jani will appreciate you.
Yeah, always happy to hear about your answers. Mokakawale, I'm so jealous. I really wish I lived right by a hospital so that I did not have to deal with this. Okay, so yeah, let's see if the sound is better this time. Do you have a question or, oh, disappeared? Okay, I think it's network issues all around. Okay, let's go through this. So first step is we want to deal with our shift. So, oh, I've got hands. I like it. Yes.
Yeah, Monica was like, I want to answer.
I'm excited. Are you going to talk me through this?
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. Go ahead.
Then first, I put in my Q value, which is -1.
Beautiful. So y is equal to a
tan x
minus 1.
Minus 1.
Correct.
Yes, and then, ma'am, the coordinates that I used to substitute, I used 1 and 45.
45 and 1. Nice. Okay.
So my y value is 1 equals to a tan 45 minus 1.
Beautiful.
And then I put my tan 45 in the calculator and I got 1 equals to a 1 minus 1.
Correct.
And then I moved over my -1 to the other side and I got 2 equals to.
Beautiful. Yes, so what's my full equation?
My full equation was y equals to 2 tan x minus 1.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful, Monica. That was excellent. Nice. Okay, those of you who are feeling confused about the shift, please don't panic. In our normal tan graph, so I'm just going to draw it in a different color. If I had to draw a normal tan graph, my tan graph, tan of 0 is always 0, right? That's a normal graph. Okay, that's a normal tan graph. So if this isn't at 0, it means that my graph has either shifted up or it's shifted down. So because it's not at 0 and it's at -1, that means that my graph has shifted down by 1, which is why that's going to be -1. But basically for you, you can think whatever your y-intercept is in a tan graph, that's going to be your shift. Okay, so if my graph was like down here and it looked something like that, then my shift would be -4. Okay. Independently, was this hand up to answer or is it a question? I think it might have been to answer. Okay, so the problem with the 180, so I'm going to show you what happens with the 180, but if you type in tan 180 into your calculator, you're going to see that you get the answer of 0. Okay, so if we had used this coordinate over here of 180 and -1, what happens is I land up with saying -1 is equal to a tan 180 minus 1, okay? And tan 180 is going to give me 0. So I'm going to get a times 0 minus 1. Now the problem here is that 0 times a is 0. And so it just lands up falling away. And we don't actually land up working out what our a value is. So we want to try and avoid using the 180s because tan of 180 is going to give us 0. It's the same way as when we try and avoid using tan of 0. Okay. That's what happens when we use 180 and -1. If you use -45, oh, but careful, -45 isn't -1. -45 is -3. So those would be the coordinates that we would be using. So just be careful. You were just using the wrong set of coordinates. But you're doing good, guys. Don't panic.
Yeah, well done, guys. I think you're doing really well. And
Yeah.
you're pushing. As long as you take a step, that's all you need.
Yep, exactly. Okay, let's try another one. Those of you who have been confused in the last ones, let's see if you can smash this one. So if you were feeling lost, see if this one feels a little bit less stressful.
Can we take a screenshot?
Oh,
Some
sorry.
moments of like,
Yes,
it's
yes.
okay.
Screenshot time. Sorry.
Screenshot time, guys. Let's shine. My computer at that time does not even take a screenshot. I had to struggle through the grade 9s. I had to use my phone. Oh, today things are not on my side, guys.
Oh, it's just, today is just, it's not enjoying us. Okay, let's give this one a try. Don't overthink it, don't panic. Let's see if we can answer some questions that involve this one now.
Let's go, guys. Let's go. I see Monica, you're working really hard, girl.
Good.
Sia, you look very comfortable with those pajamas. I wish I was on them, but you're concentrating. Well done. So you know how at Spare they just like, put random songs. So I'm busy jamming while I wait for everyone
I love it.
to
It's
answer
great.
the question.
Just having a little spare jam over there. I'm sort of half in pajamas. So I'm sort of half joining the pajama team. And wearing pajamas plus jacket. And Bentley, you're going to talk me through this one.
Hopefully, ma'am.
Excellent. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, ma'am. So the first thing I did was 145. It goes down 1. So I know Q is going to be -1.
Oh. No. What's this guy telling us here?
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to pass on to Beverly just because if your Q is wrong, then the others are going to be wrong. But it's a normal mistake, so please don't panic. Oh, no, Beverly's gone. Yeah.
Guys, you will be fine. It's a normal mistake to do.
A super normal mistake.
We've been doing the ones that are like, cutting at the lower numbers. So
and now we're like moving it up.
Yeah. Beverly though is ready for us.
No, she keeps it disappearing as soon as I try and unmute her. Then her hand goes away. I think it must be network stuff. Okay, so normally our graph starts at 0, but because it's starting at 2, that's telling us that I've shifted up 2. Okay, so I know that my Q value is 2. So y is equal to a tan x plus 2. That's my first step. Okay, so if you've got that plus 2, give yourselves a mark. Next thing, my tan graph is going down, so now I know my a value is going to be negative. We're just going to use that as a checking point to help us. Okay, now you can use different ones. Easiest one to use here is either -45 and 5, or you could use 45 and -1. Okay, both of those would be fine, whichever one you would like to use. So I'm going to sub that in. So I'm going to sub in 45 and -1. And this step over here, guys, it's not a compulsory step. You don't get a mark for that step, but I cannot stress enough how important it is to communicate with the person who's marking your exams and your tests. And I don't mean like writing notes, because you're definitely not allowed to write notes, but by saying I'm subbing in these coordinates, basically what you're doing is if they were uncertain what your step was, so if you made a mistake and you were subbing in something which didn't make sense, by writing that step in there, they're saying, okay, we know that they're going to take these values and they're going to sub it in to try and get their A value. And so then it makes the whole process easier for them to mark and they can understand what you're trying to do. So the more you can communicate, the better. So the dots, there will always be something you can use in order to there will always be a nice coordinate that you can use in grade 10. In grade 11, things get a little bit spicier, but in grade 10, yes. Any coordinates you can sub in, so like generally stay away from the ones that would be 0, so like 0 and 180, but like you could sub in 225 and -1, you could sub in 135 and 5, you'll get the same things. Okay, so I'm going to sub in those values. So my y value is -1. My x value is 45 plus 2. I'm going to move that 2 over. So -1 minus 2 is going to give me -3. And that's going to be equal to a times 1, which means that a is going to be -3. So my whole equation is going to be y is equal to -3 tan x plus 2.
Ooh, well done. There were some students actually who nailed it. Well
Yeah.
done, guys.
I know. See, our time just like disappears. I honestly it's like we're going to a black hole in these lessons. I don't know what happens. Okay, let's just try and answer a couple of questions because we've only got a few minutes left, so we don't have a huge amount of time. The first thing I would like, well done to everyone who got this right though. First thing I would like to know about this graph is what is my range? What is my range? I'm happy with multiple answers here. But what is my range of this graph? So yeah, I can see your hand. I think it'll be easier if you write in the chat just because the sound hasn't been great. So far, I haven't seen the answer that I'm looking for. Here we go. Yes, there are going to be lessons during the holiday, so don't panic. We'll be here, we'll be in our pajamas, we'll be drinking hot chocolate, but we've got lessons the whole way through the holidays. We're going to be dealing with some exponents, because I know that exponents aren't your favorite. We're going to deal with a little bit of trig. We're going to deal with a little bit of functions. We're going to do simultaneous equations. Okay, so our range is y is an element of any real number, and that's because this is going to go all the way down to -infinity, and this is going to go all the way up to +infinity. So you could write it as y-e-r, or you could write it as y is an element of -infinity to +infinity. Make sure that those brackets are curved because you're using infinity. Okay. Second thing is, yes, I know. Well, I figured the sections that I chose would be popular. What is my domain for what you can see in this graph? So your domain could be much, much bigger, but in this graph, so what you can see in this graph, let's say it stopped there and there. What would be my domain? Who thinks that they can figure this one out? So I'm telling you that I'm choosing between -180 and 225. Can someone sort of help me out and figure out how I could write my domain for this one? What's my domain that I'm seeing? Okay, I like that. So I like that it's between -180 and 225. That's a great start, but we have to add something to that. Monica, just be careful. We don't want that R there because that's saying, what that sentence is saying is that X can be anything, but X is between these. So we really want to say X is between these. So it would be beautiful just without the R. Good, Portia, yes. But remember that just
Portia
means
on
but.
the money.
X is not allowed to equal 90 and X is not allowed to equal negative 90 because those are where our asymptotes are.
Remember the friend zone, guys. You need
Exactly.
to exclude the friend zone.
Exclude the friend zones. We don't want them. Okay, cool. Guys, in our lesson on Thursday, we're going to mush all of the different graphs together and we're going to look at the way that they are asked in exams. So it'll be like good for your brains. I think it might feel a little bit scary, but don't worry, we're going to talk through all of them. And then next week, we're going to jump. Next week, Tuesday, we're going to start on some exponent work. Just to make sure your exponents are where they need to be. Cool. We're going to do a quick poll. It's just our pacing poll. You know, that's what we do on Tuesdays. But otherwise, I hope you have a beautiful evening. For those of you who are also stuck in the dark, I feel your pain. And I will see you on Thursday.